Hi, Tom Shaw here with Solar Water TV, and we are in the basement of Alan Cooper's house in sunny Palo Alto, California. Alan, thanks so much for inviting us to your house to talk about solar water heating. We installed a system for Alan about a year ago now, maybe about 8 months or so, and he had survived a winter, and we're back into spring, and this is a great example of a dual tank system. So we've got our solar tank over here, and that feeds into the existing water heater here. And Alan just told us that, a couple days ago, we bypassed this system entirely, turned off the pilot light, so now we're working just on solar. And it's actually St. Patrick's Day, March 17th in Northern California. So that's a good sign.
It is. We had our solar hot water take us all the way through the beginning of December. And then we shipped it on to the auxiliary heat, and we're on that for about 3 months, and now we look forward to just being only solar water back till next December. And for our purposes, this I think will work quite well. It's as long as we have the sun's out, we're in good shape, and we can sustain a few days of cloudy weather, but it does relies on having the sun. Even in December, when we get, or in the middle of January, February, when we had sun, the temperatures up on the roof at 10 o'clock in the morning would be up in 90, 95, 100 degrees. This morning it was around 130 degrees at 10 o'clock in the morning. In the afternoon it gets up to 150 degrees. So there's a lot of heat coming and hitting the roof and going into those solar panels. So it's doing its thing as it should, and it's taking on a lot of hot water. Good hot water.
That's great. So we're at, I guess it's about 3:30 right now in the afternoon. And just to come over here real quick, it looks like we're at 150 degrees for the tank, so that's great. Well, maybe you could tell our viewers a little bit about just why you chose solar water heating. Were you exploring other options for your house, such as solar PV, solar electric? What ultimately made you decide on solar water heating?
Well, the reason we chose solar water heating was quite simple. I work in climate science with the U.S. Geological Survey in Stanford, and I'm quite sensitive to Earth's global warming situation, and wanted to do something on my part as soon as I could to work with the 350 days and etc. to reduce our carbon dioxide output. So I decided I was going to go hot water, solar hot water. To me, it wasn't so important as to the type of system as it was to get a system in place. That's why we decided to go to solar hot water. And the system, well, I did some research on the web, looked at several sites, and decided solar electric was not a way to go now, but solar hot water was a slam dunk. Just do that first, and then when the technology improves with solar electric, then switch to solar electric.
So was that the main sticking point for solar electric for you, in terms of the technology not quite being there yet?
The sticking point was the efficiency of the system. And solar electric systems haven't yet reached a high enough efficiency that for a cost balance, whereas hot water is well into that range of being a reasonable payback to, not only a reasonable payback, but it's an immediate satisfaction of my own personal goals of doing something to help the climate.
We talked about how you bypassed your existing water heater and you're on only solar now. Maybe you could just explain a little bit about how you did that.
Well, when you look at the video, you see there's a maze of pipes up here. Now, when we had the systems installed, I wanted to have the flexibility of either using this system as standalone, this system as standalone, or having the output of the solar into the tanks. So therefore, you had to have an elaborate set of valves. Now, I won't take you through it, but you can track the cold water coming into the tank. The hot water comes out of the tank and then goes into this mass of valves. We just switch the valves in the right way, and it goes out into a mixing valve, which will then take the hot and cold water into the main house. So we have a system that gives the flexibility of any system that we want to use. So it's a very flexible system, and because we're fortunate to have the space in the basement, we chose to go with the two-tank system.
And I forget, Alan, how old was this tank when we installed this system?
This was new in 2003, so it's now 7 years old. So it was like 5.5 years old when the solar system was installed. So it'll now, I think, go longer than its 12-year warranty.
Right, because the burner's coming on less.
It's coming on less, and it's very easy to turn on. So if we do need it, It's just a quick turn it on and you're ready back, and it fires right up and heats the auxiliary water. We had no trouble with that when we turned it off and then turned it back on.
That's great. That's great. And if this were to kick the bucket, which it will before the solar system, which should last for 25 to 30 years, this tank over here has a heating element, an electrical heating element that's not tied in. Right now this is just acting as a solar storage tank, but in the case or in the scenario that this does fail, it wouldn't be too hard to close off these pipes and just use the solar with the electric backup if that's something that you wanted to do.
That's right. And this tank will fail. And the last time we had a failure, we had a flood of this tank, and so instead we've had asked to have it installed a device down here that any water, it immediately turns the systems off, and so it will set off an alarm so we know, and it automatically shuts off the valve so we don't have any flooding possibilities.
Great. Well, thanks, Alan. Is there anything else that you'd like to share about your system or anything else?
Well, I think it's just one closing comment that
Sure.
Solar, in my view, just philosophically, is a way in which the average person can do something to help the environment. Nations can't do it, but individuals can. And that's where I think the emphasis needs to be at this point, and getting more people to appreciate the value of the sun that they have and the water that they can get from the hot water in the sun to use that as the energy.
Great. Couldn't have put it better myself. Thanks so much, Alan. Really
Yeah.
appreciate it.